Hello everyone. I am NHN Horror Ghost Story will tell you the mysterious stories that I have heard as well as the stories that you have sent me from all over the world. Today I will bring you a story that I heard on a trip to the central region of our country. This story has been edited and the names of the characters in the story have been changed. Now I invite you to listen to the story. In a poor rural area of the central region, there is a small village located on the Ha River, Yen Bin Village. But many years ago, the people here passed on to each other a story revolving around him in the middle of a simple wooden bridge. Silver crossed the river to connect the village with the area outside the city. The people called the bridge the Middle Bridge because it was made of wood based on a common material of the whole region. Although the bridge was the shortest way from the village to a place where no one dared to set foot after dark, especially on drizzly nights. According to many people, this young man is haunted by an evil spirit. The ghost of a girl named Thao who died in tragedy. Dramatic many years ago, every time it rained, people said that her ghost would appear crying and watching those who passed the bridge. Thao was born into a poor family living only with her old mother in a small house by the river. She was a beautiful girl with long black hair and clear eyes, although life was difficult. But Thao was always happy and optimistic, working hard to help her old mother. When Thao was 18 years old, she met Phong, the son of a wealthy family. In the area, Phong was handsome and elegant, was the dream of many girls in the village, although she knew her status was low and could not be compared to Phong. But Thao could not resist the charm from Phong. That boy knew how to use sweet words to win the heart of the young girl. They often met at the bridge, and it was here that became the place where the two promised each other a bright and beautiful future. Thao fell deeper and deeper into this love. But she did not know that Phong was engaged to a rich young lady in another area. For Phong, Thao was just a passing pleasure. When Phong's family held a wedding ceremony for her, the young lady also revealed her true nature and said goodbye to Thao. Thao's heart was broken. She could not accept the fact that her love was only enough for one rainy night. Thao came to the bridge where she had witnessed the transformation of Non-Hen and Phong in despair. Thao threw herself into the cold river below him. The water swept away her weak body, taking away her life and her last hope. However, death did not bring freedom to her soul. She was imprisoned by resentment and the pain of betrayal and could not escape. Since then, every time it drizzled, the villagers said that Thao's ghost would appear on the bridge with wet hair and empty eyes, a face of grief and despair. Not long after Thao's death, the villagers began to hear strange phenomena around the bridge. Some people heard light footsteps behind them, but when they turned around, they saw no one, those who dared to look down at the river. On drizzly nights, they say they see the silhouette of a young girl standing in the middle of the bridge. Thao's lifeless eyes watched them. A man named Phong, a carpenter in the village, was one of the first to experience the horror on the bridge. One night, Phong had to go home to finish work at his place, decided to take a shortcut across the middle sphere. Even though it was drizzling, as he stepped onto the bridge, he felt something unusual. The air was so cold it gave him goosebumps, and all around was deathly silence As he reached the middle of the bridge, I heard footsteps behind me and told the story with a scared face. At first, I thought it was someone behind me. But when I turned around, I saw no one. My heart was pounding. And I saw her following Phong. The girl was standing in the middle. He was wearing a long white dress. His hair was wet. His gun covered his face. She didn't say anything, just stood there looking straight at me. I didn't know what to do, just to not die, my legs felt like. They were being held down by some force. Then she disappeared right in front of me. After that night, Phong never dared to cross the bridge again. And the next night, he still clearly remembered the footsteps. The girl's empty eyes full of resentment. And he was not the only one who met the ghost of that guy. Not long after the event that Phong experienced, other horrifying events continued to happen. Some people who passed the bridge at night mysteriously disappeared without leaving a trace. Some others had accidents, like falling from the bridge into the river. Although there was no sign of collision, the scariest thing was that the lucky survivors all told the same story. They saw a young girl standing between him in a white dye with red eyes full of anger. On a rainy night, Mr. Bean, a resident living near the river, heard a loud scream coming from that guy. A young man lay motionless at his feet. His face was distorted. His face was wide open, as if he had seen something terrible before he died. There were no signs of attack around, but the villagers all knew that he had seen Thao's ghost. These strange events caused the villagers to panic. They no longer dared to cross the bridge at night and gradually stayed away from the bridge, day or night. Families whose relatives were harmed stopped at the temple near him, praying for Thao's ghost to be released. But all seemed to be ineffective. The prayers still clung to him, and Thao's ghost still lingered somewhere. The story of the boy, based on Thao's ghost, quickly spread throughout the area, attracting the attention of a young reporter from Nom City who did not believe in ghost stories, thinking that they were just superstitions of the countryside. With a strong belief in science and reason, he decided to go to the village and discover the truth, using reason to explain these mysterious things. When Nom came to the village, he met and interviewed the people who had experienced them. Strange phenomena. Although the stories they told were full of horror, Nom was still not convinced that what they experienced was just the result of anxiety, stress, and rich human imagination. But to prove to everyone that there was nothing mysterious here, Nom decided to experience it himself, and he planned to go to the bridge on a drizzly night, bringing a camera and equipment to record what happened, to prove that it was just a rumor that was not true. That night, the drizzling rain was not cold and dark. He walked step by step on the bridge. The creaking sound of wood rang out under his feet. He felt the cold seeping through his skin, but suddenly footsteps sounded behind him. At first, Nom thought it was just a noise, but when the footsteps became clearer, he turned around, and in front of Nom was a girl wearing a white dye standing in the middle of him. Her long, wet hair was soaked with rain. Her face was hidden under her thick hair. At this time, Nom was absent-minded. His heart was beating erratically, as if it was about to fall out. Out of the images he had just witnessed, but he still tried to stay calm. He raised the camera to the top to film what he really was. But at that moment, the girl suddenly disappeared. Without a sound or a trace, Phong felt a chill run down his spine. He knew that he had faced what the whole village feared. Phong Bio ran away from the bridge. But since that night, he has always been haunted by the image of the girl in white on the bridge. The story ends here. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please click like, share, and subscribe to the channel to develop my channel and motivate me to do the next stories. Now, goodbye and see you again.